The content in this magazine could contain references of topics and difficult subject matter that may be triggering. Please honor your self-inner knowing and proceed with whatever help or guidance you feel is intuitively aligned. Welcome to Sovereign Magazine Podcast. I'm Nicole George, CEO and founder of Sovereign. I'm so happy you are here. We are the magazine podcast and community guiding 5 million women to their sovereign selves. From heart-led conversations to magical meditations, our inspiring guests will show you how they can help you step into your sovereign self. Are you ready to listen to your inner voice and step into your power? Then keep listening to hear all of the intuitive messages meant for you today. Hello. Today I have the privilege of reconnecting with Terra Dawn, one of our amazing contributors. She is a life strategist and business owner who helps women step into their power in two magical ways, not only through building heart-centered, joy-filled businesses, but also through deep healing work that reconnects them with their inner child. She has a wonderful background in human services, but also has the experience from her own healing journey and guides women to break free from self-abandonment, reclaim their worth, and trust in life's timing. Her mission is very simple, yet very powerful. She is here to help women create aligned businesses, soulful relationships, and richly fulfilled lives. So welcome back, Terra Dawn.
Thanks for having me. It's such a privilege and an honor to be here.
I'm really excited because you know what? You and I, we just kind of fly by the seat of our pants because we are being exactly who we are, which is the theme for our October new moon, being who you truly are. And in your article, Being Who You Truly Are, the journey of listening within, authenticity, and bold expression, you really help us step into a radical act of courage in a world that's constantly telling us who to be, which you and I, we don't subscribe to that. And you show us how healing your relationship with your inner child and learning to listen to your intuition can help you peel away that conditioning and return to your authentic self. So for those who haven't read your article, maybe you can recap a little bit of it for us.
Okay, so here's the thing about a recap, that this is what I speak every day. It's really bold to be able to step into our authenticity and to be genuinely who we are. Because of our conditioning, we essentially are like, this is where the imposter syndrome sets in. This is where we have zero individuality. This is where, we have so many things going on in our lives that we want to fit in and we conform. That is the deepest form of self-abandonment. And that's why I say it's a radical act of courage to be able to step away and be who you are truly meant to be. If we were to look at the noise of the outside world, really, why are we listening? We probably wouldn't trade lives with many of the people that we are watching and paying attention to. And so that distracts and hits that self-abandonment piece. And I think the ultimate piece for me is that how are we self-abandoning? And not just in who we are and who we're presenting, but in order to fit in to become something more to somebody else and less to ourselves. That's like the very quick and dirty summation of the end of the article itself. But really, it boils down to self-abandonment and how much longer are you willing to self-abandon?
And how much are we willing to listen to those quiet whispers of that inner child who is really asking us to step into her authentic self and what that perhaps might look like for us, and how do we embrace that?
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think that's stepping away from the noise, getting out of that noise, and realizing that we just don't want to be the way we have been for all these years for so long. I just don't want that for myself is literally the best reason to start to shift and change. And that starts with really getting present with ourselves, listening to those inner nigglings, those things that get us excited, those things that make us have the ick. I actually have been talking about that lots this week. with my clients and with people around me, when we start to step into this work, we start to get really honest with whatever feels an ick for us. We're moving away from that. So why are we going to continue to subscribe to it, whether that's a friend's behavior? And why aren't we standing up against that in a way that feels honoring to us? So that doesn't necessarily mean being confrontational, but we self-abandon every time we step in and enable that behavior to be around us. If we listen to the ick and be like, that's not for me, allow that to be reason to take space or to communicate it, depending on the relationship. But then you're stepping into your power. You're listening to the nudges of the inner child that aren't so silent. So when we can listen to the ick, or listen to what excites us, or listen to what ignites us, or listen to what makes us sad or unhealthy or unhappy or triggered even. The triggers that give us so much. Our triggers are our inner child crying for help. So like there's so many cues that we just write off as pop culture psychobabble. And really it's coming from the inner knowing, and the inner child is begging for you to hear it. So listening to even those not so subtle pieces. And it starts with that, listening to your instincts. Don't do the thing, even though your body's telling you not to do the thing. Society says do the thing. And I could think of 1,000 examples of that, but I'm going to go to wine culture. This is going to be an unpopular opinion. How many people have taken up drinking wine in the last 5 years just to fit into a friend group? And your body's probably saying no. You probably have inflammation. You probably are waking up with headaches. There's probably 100 things that are happening to your body. And because you want to subscribe to something to fit in.
Yes, it's that exact feeling. It's that exact feeling. Anytime I feel ick, I'm like, oh, what's out of alignment here? Because it truly guides me towards my feelings and what is true and authentic for me. There comes this permission to have the ick, to honor the ick, to be okay with the ick, and everybody else doesn't have to approve of your ick. That's your own. And so I love that you used that, because we don't often get that permission.
Well, and what just came to mind is actually in my own session with my own healing coach, literally today, we were talking about the proving. She's a human design coach, so we were actually focused on the ajna. And the ajna is the center of proving, conforming, the center of certainty, the knowing the musts. And if you don't have a defined ajna, you're open to conditioning of all sorts. And I said to her in that space, I said, I've never really felt like I needed to be certain about really anything, because I've been a single parent for so many years. Nothing was certain. So many things could get pulled out from underneath me. And even when I look at my childhood and those sorts of things, there was nothing certain. So this is where that conforming comes in. So, back to the drinking conversation, I was a big drinker. I haven't drank a drop in well over a year, and I don't miss it. And even prior to that, for the last 10 years, maybe once a year. When we look at what do we have to prove? So where can we drop down the wall of I have something to prove to other people? When we're in that proving state, we're self-abandoning. When we are grasping and gripping onto certainty, how much are we sacrificing in that? That is pulling us away from ourselves and not allowing us to sit authentically within.
Are you ready to be part of the movement of guiding 5 million women to their sovereign selves? Are you a woman who trusts her inner voice and is stepping into her power? Then subscribe to Sovereign Magazine, podcast, and community, where you can become part of our global community, because your journey to empowerment starts here. So let's move into our steps to our sovereign selves. And I am chuckling because you and I said we're going to truly embody this theme and be exactly who we are, which is not scripted, right? Normally I talk.
Yeah.
I talk with everyone before and say, what do you want to do with your steps to your sovereign self? And you're like, I don't know. Let's just flow. And I'm like, let's go, girl. So why don't you tell me what you want to talk about, or what gift you want to bring to everyone today regarding this topic, and some good takeaways for them?
Oh, and I'm getting goosebumps everywhere. I just love it. Spirit is speaking. The first thought that gave me the whole full body chills was around drawing awareness to when we're stepping into proving ourselves. In that performative state. You're not a dance monkey. And that, like, a song comes to my mind in that moment. So where are we still performing? Where are you still conforming? So that performative state draws you further away from you. When you drop the need to prove, you drop the need to perform, you are going to come home further closer to yourself. It's also paying attention, like we said before, to the icks, to the excitements, to the igniting, to the passion, to all of these cool emotions that we have been gifted. And if you don't feel any of those, then that's the start, is being aware of when you feel those. Awareness is a big piece, because when we become aware, we like, oh, I don't like that. That's not what I want for myself anymore. And that one statement is enough to shift your behavior and your change. Change doesn't happen overnight. It happens with a 1% of awareness. It happens with me hearing my coach say, well, where are you still sitting into proving? And I'm like, dang it. Like, I thought I was doing so good. And it's a deconditioning process. Like, she talks about it as a deconditioning. This is a deconditioning out of what you were conditioned into by society, school, parents, mentors, teachers, all the things. Social media is a huge part of our conditioning. So when we look at that, drawing awareness first and foremost, changing it when we are aware is the second piece. You would be astounded by how much shifts in a short period of time if you become aware and shift how you respond to that awareness. It's so simple. It's the willingness to start simple and not make it over complex, and not worried about what other people will say when you start changing, because they are going to notice.
Yeah. And we're our biggest critics. I remember several people have asked me, like, how did you start? Once you had the awareness, like, how did you start? And I always give the same answer. I was doing the dishes and I literally heard my inner child say, I want to go sit down for 15 minutes. And so I gave myself permission to do that. I listened to her. And I would say your biggest critic and your biggest barrier is going to be yourself. We just push through, constantly push. We're told we're too much or we're not doing enough. And it's all of those fears and that little mind chatter that creeps in that prevents us from listening. And as I listened to her more and gave myself rest, so much of it is based in rest. And when we quiet the noise, like you said, and we slow down and we pause, that's where the intuition comes in, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely. And when we talk about that chatter, I refer to that in my work as the inner critic, or the outer child. In when I hit the foundational work, they speak up for us in ways that often don't do us any favors. The inner child is the voice of innocence. The outer child is the rebellion that thinks it's standing up for the inner child. That's also simultaneously the inner critic. And so, when I'm listening to your story, I'm like, and what happens is we've got an inner critic of, you're being lazy. You don't deserve rest. You haven't earned it yet. We don't have to earn rest. It's actually part of our growth and healing. It's like we don't have to earn our worth. It is innate. It is within us. And those could go together, right? So yeah, it's the little moments, changing the little things. And like, I'm trying to think of where I started, and it actually started with a tool. If you do what you've always done, you're going to get what you've always gotten. And I put that tool into play in every area of my life for like 2 weeks, and I started to see a shift. And it was a tool that was given to me from a friend of mine who had just attended a seminar. And that one tool, I saw enough of a shift that I signed up for the whole freaking seminar. And that was really the start of my formal growth and healing. And that tool, to this day, it's like, well, I've always done this. Why am I still doing it? And when we can apply that one tool, it can make a significant difference.
I love this so much. Okay, so everyone go out, figure out what your one tool is, figure out what your outer child is saying to your inner child, figure out who you really want to be and who you are. Are you stepping up each day as your true,
Mhm.
authentic self? Well, guess what? you can connect directly with Terra Dawn in our community, community.sovereign-magazine.com. All of her details are in the show notes. You can find her on all the socials, and she's going to be back for some more magic. I cannot wait.
Yay, I'm so excited. Thank you for having me.
Such a pleasure. See you on the next one. Thanks for listening. I'll be back tomorrow with another soul-led entrepreneur here to help you step into your sovereign self. Subscribe to our magazine and podcast and join our global community for all the magic. Details to connect with today's guest or join the movement are in the show notes. And if you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review. It helps us reach our goal of guiding 5 million women to self-sovereignty.